Welcome to the Sportsman's Voice podcast, your inside connection to outdoor legislation. From the Beltway to policy happening your way, we're covering it all. I'm your host, Fred Bird. Join us as we explore public land access, wildlife and fisheries management, Second Amendment rights, the triumphs that shape our nation, the sports we all love, and the stories that fuel our passion for the great outdoors. This is the Sportsman's Voice podcast. Welcome back, everybody. This is your feature edition of the Sportsman's Voice podcast. This is our ladies hunt special. Kind of teased this out a couple weeks back. Really fun episode here. Some serious banter, but also just some folks that got together and had a real special time down in Texas. CSF's own PJ Carlton put together a really unique opportunity. We welcome in three of the participants along with PJ to talk about the experience in and of itself, but a bigger theme of women in the outdoors, going through the nuts and bolts of the hunt and shooting techniques, A to Z, the different levels of experience, and the diverse background of the guests. Our guest this week, Diane Kishore, Janice Wisely, Erica Turgeson, and obviously, like I said, CSF's own PJ Carlton, break it all down for you this week. And again, the different backgrounds professionally of the four guests here, three in the policy space, and one person in Janice who just wanted to go have a good time and do some hunting and shooting. So we're gonna bring you these four ladies. Enjoy the show. It's a fun conversation, and we'll catch you on the backside of the show. Let's go. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to this feature edition of the Sportsman's Voice podcast. It is another Thursday. We're welcoming you all back. Thanks so much for tuning in, following, subscribing, and sharing with your friends far and wide. We do appreciate it. This week, this show, we are covering CSF's first annual women's hunt. Some great stories coming out of the FTW Ranch in Barksdale, Texas. We're going to bring in 4 of the 14 ladies that participated in this event, ages ranging from 18 to 70 years old, all sorts of experience, newbies to folks that have been around the world and been on amazing hunts. So I want to introduce first PJ Carlton. See, I'm even messing up. Everyone's still worried about coming on. PJ Carlton, CSF Senior Director of Events and Donor Relations. Erica Turgeson, Government Affairs Director for Dallas Safari Club. Diana Cash. See, I did it again. Cody, we're going to mark that because the host is already screwing up. I write this stuff out phonetically, and I still screw it up. Here we go. Cash Hour, right?
Cash Hour, you got it.
Here we go, Cody. 5, 4. Diane Cash Hour, Senior Director of Government Relations, Federal Affairs, and Janice Wisely joins us now. Ladies, welcome in. Thanks so much for making the time and joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks.
So first, I want to cover, the genesis of all this, how this came about. PJ, all this time removed, remains incredibly excited about the experience and this all coming together. So PJ, first, I want to ask you, where did the idea come from? How did this whole thing come together? Take us through the process. What was your inspiration?
Well, Fred, being a long timer of the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation, I'm in my 18th year. Part of this was personal. I really found a passion for hunting when I started doing it with other women, and having that experience and that bonding moment. And then I was thinking, why can't we do an organized trip for ladies that are involved with CSF and then use this as an opportunity to bring new ladies into the fold and introduce them to what the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation does around the country. And then also just kind of giving us an opportunity to expose ourselves to all kinds of different hunting and fishing opportunities. So I started back actually in 2019, planning a ladies staff shoot, a ladies shoot. Diane, you might even remember me doing this back in 2019, 2020, and then obviously a pandemic hit and we weren't able to do it. And then it's just been sitting in my mind all these years. And then it kind of all things kind of came together at once last year, and we planned this first trip to the FTW Ranch down in Texas and had what I think was just the most spectacular 5, 6 days down at the ranch with 14 wonderful women. And it was just such an amazing experience. Part of why I remain so excited. That and the future of this, I think there's a real strong future for this women's hunting and fishing program that we're doing.
Very good. I am curious. So, kind of kick this off, recognizing the different levels of experience. So, uh, as I'm looking at you, I'm going to ask everybody your background, a little bit about what you do, and your field experience. What is hunting, fishing, shooting sports done in, been part of your life? How long you've been doing it? So I'm going to start with Erica. Erica, can you cover all that?
Yeah, I'll do my best. Yeah, I grew up in a ranching family in Colorado, so definitely grew up shooting in rural areas. We hunted a little bit. We were really busy with the ranch, so not a ton. But yeah, I grew up kind of with that lifestyle, used to shotguns and rifles. And then since I moved to DC, it's just been a really good excuse to get out of DC and remember what we're all working so hard for. So even though we don't get to quote kind of exercise our rights as much as we're defending them, when we do get together, it's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding, and it kind of gets us reminds us of what's going on outside of Washington D.C., which is always a good thing, grounds us, and then, kind of rejuvenates us to go back to the hill and fight the fights.
It's an interesting dichotomy, and I'm already, deviating from where I wanted to go because that train of thought is important here. Is that most of us on this call are doing exactly that, right? And we can get caught up in the day-to-day, duties and responsibilities of what we're doing in state houses on the hill, advocating, defending, and our hunting heritage and our lifestyle that, we do all this work all year long, and right now, I mean, we're coming into the season, the last, quarter of the year, and this is our time to go out there and enjoy what we work so hard to do on behalf of the American public. So, I appreciate you saying that and being able to touch on that right away. Um, I'm gonna go to Janice because 'cause I'm curious about your background. I'm not sure, are you in policy? Where do you come from, and what's your experience?
I actually, my title would be I'm a homeschool mom in Southern Indiana, and
Well, even harder than going on the hill and talking to register.
maybe sometime. My husband and I, we have a contracting business and rental properties, so I'm involved in our business side of things. I do volunteer on the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, our local chapter with the banquet committee, and then my husband and I and our kids now also work on the auction team for the Wild Sheep Foundation in their annual convention in Reno in January. I did not come from a hunting family. I think my dad did some hunting when he was younger. He lost the hearing in one of his ears, so that obviously makes things difficult. My family was not opposed to hunting or anything, but my husband and I got together in middle school and dated all through high school and got married, and he was a hunter. And of course, to spend time with him, I thought hunting was a good idea. So I would tag along with him. Early 20s, I started hunting, started with turkey hunting, got my first turkey, then went to deer hunting. And since then, funny story, when our kids were little, Jamie, my husband, would say, I'm going to go on these hunts now so that when the kids are older, you can go. And I thought, sure, I'm not going to hold my breath. But that's exactly what has happened. He did a lot of his big hunts when the kids were younger, and now he has allowed me to go. With his help, I've been able to do a lot of bucket list hunts and appreciate that a lot. So I'm not into, anywhere near Washington, D.C. And honestly, I did not know about the organization until I was contacted by Carrie and by PJ. And I am so thankful for what you do. I'm one of the people out here definitely benefiting from all the work that you guys bring to it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's great, awesome. Uh, Heading down the bottom there, Diane, what's going on with you? What's your resume look like?
Sure. So I am the Senior Director of Federal Affairs for the National Shooting Sports Foundation. We are the trade association for the firearm and ammunition industry. So my day to day job is advocating in support of policies that benefit our industry and firearm owners and pushing back against those that are. That would negatively impact us. I love our issues. I love the industry. But I knew that there was so much that I didn't know about hunting. And so when PJ reached out, I was excited and I was able to make it work and join the crew. I grew up in Northwest Florida and didn't grow up hunting or target shooting. I was near or in the water every moment I could get. It wasn't really until my 20s when I started shooting. And I think actually the first time I shot a shotgun was at one of the CSF congressional clay shoots. So I worked for a former co-chair of the Congressional Sportsmen's Caucus. Before I joined the Ladies Hunt, I could probably count on both of my hands the number of times I've gone hunting. And, I hunted dove and pheasant and quail and duck. Well, that wasn't super successful there, but this was my first big game hunt. And the first time hunting with a rifle, which I literally bought weeks before the hunt and had it sent to the ranch. It was a semi automatic rifle chambered in 308. So I was a little nervous at first when the team started assembling it. And they said, this is definitely going to give you some kick. And so I quickly realized that they were just pulling my leg because it pretty much had zero recoil. So it was a good choice. And while I'm sure that whatever we learned at the ranch only scraped the surface, I can, honestly say that, again, it was my first big game hunt, and it won't be my last. So, sure.
Great. TJ,
Perfect.
I'm gonna learn something about you right now. What's
I
your
think
what's your
you
hunting
are.
background?
Much like Diane, this was also my first true big game hunt. I had been on a deer hunt with Erica previously, but it was more of a let's share some secrets in a deer stand kind of hunt than it was an actual deer hunt.
In other words, there were no deer.
There were no deer. I don't know if I could count that as a big game hunt. Um, having worked at CSF for almost 18 full years now, I really wasn't a hunter. Had never shot a gun before I came to the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation. Much like Diane picked it up from a clay shoot and had done it more and more and more. And then a few years ago, got invited to actually go to the FTW ranch and do the full class that we've done now with the ladies group. And Eric and I had that same experience together. The thing I took away from that, and it was kind of a life changing moment for me, is that I truly can do hard things. And I shouldn't be scared and timid about going and trying things for the first time, especially in an environment where you've got these amazing instructors and you've got your girlfriends with you and you're surrounded by people who want to see you succeed. It's such a big life changing moment. And prior to that, I'm much like Diane. It had been a lot of upland game, um, pheasants, quail, that sort of stuff. And I too grew up on the fishing side. I have an older brother who's a charter boat captain down in Florida. So fishing was what my family primarily did. So really wasn't exposed to it until really, really recently. And this fall, I have all kinds of more exciting hunts planned. So it kind of unleashed the beast.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that's where you go. You gotta start somewhere, and then you get completely addicted, and the paycheck is out the window. So that's great. So it's interesting, right? So of the four of you, it sounds like one has a pretty well lifetime experience, while all the rest of you kind of came to this a bit late. If I'm getting that right, so the fun terms we use industry wise, the adult onset hunter, emergent hunter, whatever you want to call it, it means the same thing. So I am curious, with Erica having, a pretty well-rounded experience and continues to grow in that, but for the rest of you, and Erica, you can speak to this too, because I'd be curious as someone that's lifelong doing this. You hear about barriers to entry all the time when we talk about R3 in our space or just getting people involved. For women, you always hear, and I'm not speaking hyperbole here, like you always hear that the male dominated space, especially in hunting and shooting sports, is somewhat of a barrier to entry. It's either intimidating. There is this perception of machismo. Um, can any of you speak to that? What if that played a role in you coming to this late? Did this all ladies hunt help overcome some of that concern, and was it a nice way to get into this without all that peripheral stress and perhaps um, something that would turn you off to getting into the space? Anybody who wants to go? Go ahead, Diane.
So I work in a male-dominated industry, and so I absolutely 100% enjoyed going through this experience with incredible women and being part of the fastest growing demographic of gun owners. And so I was really excited to be part of that. So, I mean, PJ brought together a group of women who shared a common interest and love for the outdoors, proper training, and having the opportunity to take part in our nation's rich sporting heritage. And so I think the friendship and camaraderie that we shared was just icing on the cake. But I agree. I think it would have been a completely different experience had it not just been women. And so I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, there was no judgment zone. Everybody was encouraging and supportive, and we all seemed to gel immediately. And so it was a great experience.
Eric, it looked like you wanted to jump in there right away. I'm going to go to you.
Gonna say I maybe have had a little different experience. And all the men I've ever hunted with have always been wonderful and never it's never been intimidating for me hunting with men at all. What is intimidating or maybe annoying is like if you walk into a gun shop and they immediately just try to sell you like the pink 22 rifle or the pink semi-auto pistol and you're like, no, that's not what I'm here for. Or if you're ever at the shooting range, I've had men like, "Oh, yeah, here's how you do it, little lady," that kind of thing. But with hunting, I've never really experienced that. I've had great experiences with both men and women. So it was kind of fun for once to hunt with the girls because usually it's all men.
Yeah, no doubt. Janice, go ahead.
I honestly, whenever I was, invited to the event, I didn't really think it was something I needed, to go with a bunch of ladies. And like I said, I've been hunting since my early 20s, so it's quite a while now. And my our family hunts together. I've been involved in some lady events, but on the worker side, like we've done some lady shooting events with the Elk Foundation and different things, and so I thought, "Well, I don't know, I need to go," but I went and I was so blessed. I never had been the participant with a group of ladies, and I, like PJ, even though, I've been hunting for quite a while, it was intimidating. Um, just, going on my own, and then also just, "What if I don't do it right?" Um, but she was exactly right. There was no judgment at all. It was total encouragement. Uh, just all around, like just getting to know each other and the shooting aspect, and in the evenings, visiting together. It was definitely something I did not realize I needed, but definitely helped me.
Yeah, no doubt. Erica, it's funny as you were talking. I don't know if you guys watch Park and Recs, but I often think of the Ron Swanson meme. Like, listen, I know more than you do, so chill out with the bravado, right? Um,
On
it just speaks to like we work so hard on this. I want to say over the last 2 decades, this stuff has been identified, and it comes becomes cliche, and we work on it. We work on it. I feel like we've made a lot of headway, but yet there are still these baked in the cake default tendencies with a certain generation. Um, eventually biology takes over, those people age out, and you like to think that that stuff gets overcome. And, you just start asking polite questions like go into a gun shop. Hey, what's your experience? How can I help you? Instead of assuming, right? And like, I don't know, to me, that just makes sense. I don't think assuming anything is going to get you anywhere. If nothing else, I know more than you and you become embarrassed. So, PJ, tell me about your thoughts on all this. And I got to imagine there was a lot of this was part of your motivation to get this together in this way.
I am much like Erica. I've had really wonderful hunting experiences with a bunch of my male colleagues, and some of the hunt guides that I've gotten to meet and outfitters over the years. But for me, it was totally a comfort thing. I just never truly felt comfortable doing this until I put myself in an environment where I was surrounded by people who felt exactly like I did. And kind of being intimidated. And I don't like to do things unless I'm good at them, which is something personal problem of mine. But I think I'm getting around that now because I've taken on hunting. Um, that it just was a game changer for me. It was an instant game changer for me. And after that first trip, went out and bought a shotgun. Now I own a rifle. So I'm certified. I'm ready to go.
If I can add to Fred, like I've had amazing experiences as well with, a lot of my male coworkers too. They've been awesome in bringing me out. And so I just want to clarify that as well, that it was just a different experience. And again, we've had, seasoned hunters on the trip as well as those that had never really hunted before. So being able to go through that experience, especially with those who have never hunted before and learning all of the basics, it was just something that I really appreciated and grew from.
Yeah, for sure. And by no means am I setting this up to be a man-hating line of thought, right? I just want to explore this, right? Because there's a different dynamic, right? When you go with colleagues, Diane, same thing with you, PJ. It's a different dynamic. You already kinda know those people and you have those relationships, whereas if you just go on a guided hunt just because you wanna check a bucket list item, Janice, you don't really know what you're getting other than the research and the couple phone calls you have, and then when you get in camp and you're doing a spike camp for elk in the backcountry, you're kinda stuck with these people, and if those people don't mesh, that's gonna be a rough ride, right? And you're putting all this money into it, so you are in positions of leadership. All of you. You all have high level jobs. You're leaders where you're at. Going through this iteration now, how do you feel? Does your leadership abilities in your day to day transfer to this and feel like now it's kind of over and out there, and you can just go out there and shed that intimidation, whatever perceived intimidation there was.
I know for me, it's been a total 180 turnaround for me. I'm far more confident doing the things that I previously wasn't real confident doing. And we laugh about it now, but it's like, who is this person? Where'd she come from? I'm less stressed. I'm more relaxed. It's just been a complete 180 for me.
And Janice, go ahead. You wanted to jump in.
Well, I think so too. I think whenever you force yourself to go out, like, it was scary to go here, even though it's going to be a group of women, it's something different. And, the instructors are very skilled, and that can be a little intimidating. But once you make yourself do that, you get out there and you put yourself out there and think, so what if I fail? This is the perfect place to fail because that's why you're there to learn. And once you do that and you're like, hey, I did something scary and actually I benefited from it, then yeah, that definitely carries over to other challenges in life, just everyday life, not just hunting.
Fred, I'll just add, like you said, kind of backing up a little bit. I think you're always concerned when you go hunting with people you don't know, and what is the dynamic going to be, and is there going to be somebody awful? And I was very concerned because, as girls can be very, very mean, as you probably know. So, but PJ put together a great group of ladies and we just all got along. And I feel like we spent equal amounts of time with each other and kind of got to know each other. So anyway, that all ended up turning out great. The other thing I was going to mention, and again, backing up, one of the hardest things I think as a barrier to hunting are the fish and game regulations sometimes, and just buying a simple hunting license. As someone who's bought hunting licenses, across the US, if I have a hard time figuring out which license I need to purchase, I can only imagine what people who are trying to get involved for the first time are dealing with. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. And I'm not trying to knock our state agencies. I know they're doing the best they can, but it does get a little confusing
Oh,
all
that's
that.
it's cumbersome as it gets. I mean, I just recently tried to, was up at our executive council, our NASC executive council midyear, which was held up in Alaska. Um, I just wanted to
Yeah.
grab a 7-day fishing license so we could do part of our field fun. And I was kind of, no knock on Alaska, but they got so much going on and so much different enforcement and different parts of the state, I was like, if it was not for this, um, I DIY, I might tap out just for a fishing license. I'm not lazy. It's just there's just too much going on, and it can be intimidating for anybody.
Yeah. And then I'll just add going back to what you were just talking about. I just think shooting in general for women is so empowering because it really is being able to handle a firearm is like the ultimate equalizer for us, I think. So anytime you can get out and shoot, and then especially to hunt, it's just such a huge sense of accomplishment. So there's nothing to me that's probably more empowering than that in life.
Talk to me about that. I wanna know more about that line of thought. And it's
Yeah,
and
I
it
mean,
there's a sex default mechanism that guys are just automatically cool with guns and girls aren't, which, again, knowing people and have been around in this space for like PJ, 2 decades, because I'm walking about it, I know that's not true, but why is that the default mechanism, and why do ladies feel like that tool is something they're not privy to without all this great effort?
well, I'll just say that, biologically speaking, men are just stronger than women. I mean, for the most part, that's just the truth. Um, so for women, that means we're at a disadvantage a lot of times. And, working in Washington, D.C. and having to walk late at night on dark streets or wherever you may be, I'm always concerned about that. So when you are able to handle a firearm, and you feel like you can protect yourself, that gives you a lot of empowerment.
You know?
Um, so
No, that
yeah.
that part I get. I'll refine my question is, it seems like women are more apprehensive to pick a firearm up in any controlled environment, whatever that is, never mind going to a sand pit and plinking at targets, right? Like, people I know in my immediate environment are that are ladies are very apprehensive to it. I'm not sure why, but that's what I'm asking you guys. Like, what is that? What is it about the gun that females tend to be apprehensive to? And then going through those iterations that you all mentioned is like, ah, okay, this is not the big deal I perceived it to be.
I think for me, it was more of a comfort level issue. I think the first time I got a firearm in my hand, I wanted to know exactly how it operated and what to do, what not to do. And so that's why I had sort of zeroed in on the training aspect of it. And I think the more I train, the more comfortable I am with it, the more willing and that I'll take, the more opportunities I will take to go out and
Mhm.
perfect my marksmanship and
Yeah.
hunt, shoot. So, okay.
I think that's the key is that, guns are intimidating and you should be afraid of them to an extent, but not you need to, handle them, practice with them, find a local conservation group, I'm blessed that I have family members. My husband grew up together handling firearms, and a lot of women don't have that, and it is very intimidating. But you can find help in local conservation groups. There's a lot of shooting ranges around now, and what I've going back to the experience of hunting and shooting with men, anytime I've been on a hunt or any kind of shooting event, the men are excited that I'm there, that a woman is there and they're trying to learn. And actually, I probably get uh, a little more help and excitement than when Jamie and I hunt together that he does from the guides because it's neat for them. They're excited. They like this sport and they want to see it continue. And it's the women hunters and shooters. It's a huge group. It's really growing right now.
I think social media too has something to do with it. It's sort of demonized the firearm, and so especially when you see anti-gun legislators wanting to ban the existence out of certain firearms and that sort of thing. And so I think just from society perspective and social media that I feel like it kind of just, you know, tells a certain population or whatever, like, hey, maybe you don't want to be around this thing because it's bad. You
Do
know.
you think there's a societal stigma on ladies specifically being around or utilizing firearms? Do you think it's more socially acceptable still in 2025 that it's a man space and that ladies that are picking this up shouldn't be? And I got something to totally debunk this here in a second. I want to hear your take on it, especially being with who you're with.
I mean, I've heard legislators say sorry, go ahead, Janice.
Oh, I said I think it's changing. I think it's they're celebrating women getting involved in it more. I think it's changing from what it used to be.
I've heard several legislators talk about the fact that if a woman has a firearm in their home, that they're more likely to be on the other end of it. And so, which is just ridiculous,
Yep. Yep.
but to even say. But again, I think that that's kind of what we're dealing with. And I highly encourage women to get out there. Again, we're the fastest growing demographic of the industry. There are ranges and retailers that are willing and able to train you on your firearms, and to allow you to kind of experience different firearms, find ones that fit you the best, the ones that you feel most comfortable with. But I think the industry has embraced women as again as the fastest growing demographic. So
Yeah, and to your point, and this is where I was gonna go with this, the study I'm gonna, quote is a bit dated, but I think it maintains, is that, probably a handful of years ago, the sociological type people that were doing these studies found and bore out this study that, the fastest growing demographic being ladies, and we're looking at a R3 component of that, they found that if the head of the household, the lady head of the household was involved in this stuff, she was more likely to bring everyone along versus dad or uncle or granddad just doing it, like, it wasn't the same carry through, so when we're looking to make that new generation of sportsmen or women shooting, going to the target range, going hunting, whatever that looks like, mom goes, kids go, everyone's going, which I think supports exactly what you just said, Diane.
I can't wait to bring my 4-year-old hunting. So when the time's right.
But that's what's happened to our family. We have a 60-year-old son and a 18-year-old daughter, and they are both very active in shooting and hunting. And honestly, that's part of the reason that I accepted the invitation to go to the ranch because like I said, I was pretty nervous about going by myself, but I did not want them to see me miss out on such a good opportunity because I was scared. Because I don't want them to be that way. I want them if they have an opportunity like that where they can learn to sharpen their skills and meet new people, build their community in that area. I want them to take that advantage. So, but yeah, so like I said, Jamie, my husband grew up hunting, and I with him, and all four of us hunt now. So it's a great thing to do as a family for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Erica, did you have something that looked like you wanted to chime in on the
I
like.
was just gonna say, women in general are kind of the social directors and the planners. Not always, but so
Okay.
if mom's involved or your sister's involved or your girlfriend, then yeah, I can see how it gets on the calendar.
Yep, sure. That tracks in my household for sure, so I get it. Um, no, that's all great, and, golly days, we're already a half hour into this conversation, so I appreciate everything up to this point, the backgrounds, everyone's why, so I do wanna pivot and learn more about the course, the class, what was it like there? Um, start me off, PJ, talk to me about the instructors, we've already kinda talked about barriers for entry, the intimidation factor, you guys got over that. How are the instructors? What's the feedback there that lent itself to a good experience? And then, I wanna dive into some of the more, nitty-gritty parts of the course.
Well, Fred, this course we took was the field to fork class, and it was literally set up to give us kind of the A to Z first time hunter experience. So everything from learning minutes to mills to learning about wind speed, the angle of your shot, whether you're shooting up and down. We did a lot of time in the classroom where the instructors really went through um, kind of a booklet to kind of give us every tool we needed mentally to be able to do this.
Mhm.
Um, and they were the ones teaching the class, giving us the examples, hands on, passing around the scopes, where we'd have to figure out how to change them for wind speed and all that kind of stuff. Then we dove right into it. We went out on the course and started, dialing in our scopes and figuring out our range cards and really getting a hands-on experience shooting these firearms, trying to figure out if our scopes were accurate for our gun. And we had all the instructors doing it. And I think for me, the best thing about those instructors, one, they were very, very knowledgeable. They were all sharpshooters in the military. They have the ability to shoot at 2,500 yards. These are guys that clearly know what they're doing. But every time you hit your target, they would yell out impact. but they say it in a very excited way. They go, impact. And that just makes you excited. They're rooting for you to have success as much as, they are wanting us to have success. So it makes a huge, huge difference. So you gain a little bit of confidence once you start getting your scope ready and dialed in. Then we start shooting further out. We were at 100 yards when we were, getting our range cards figured out.
Yeah.
We went all the way up to 1,000 yards on that first morning of shooting. And so many people who had never shot a gun before were hitting it at 1,000 yards. I have a video of the 18-year-old when she shot her first, 1,000-yard shot, and she looked around and pointed at me like, I did that. I did that. She was very proud of herself. She's like, I can't believe I had never done this before. And today I did this, and those instructors are there with us every moment of the day, and you kind of start to form a bond with one or two people. And when we go on our hunting trips, we're with the same guide the entire time. So you're really getting to have that connection and that experience with those guides so that, they kind of know they've been there with you every step of the way. So it is a really phenomenal class. So we did the shooting, then we got the opportunity to go on several hunting trips. We also learned how to do the skinning of the animals, the necropsy, the quartering, and then we actually had a chef come and teach us how to actually cook with the meat that we had just harvested. So, that was a great opportunity, and I think something that you don't normally get in a class like this. So, we were able to kind of take it literally from A to Z, all the way from learning the weapon to then cooking with the meat and learning how to break down an animal in the field if it came to that, and if you didn't have a plan.
It sounds like just the perfect, uh, the words escaping me. Mentorship. Thank you to myself. It sounds like the perfect mentorship opportunity where it's a controlled environment. You have these professionals, and there's nothing wrong with doing a mentored hunt in your back 40 with a young person or an adult onset hunter for turkey or something. But being in that environment, knowing there's barriers, people got your back, that's gotta take a level of stress off. I would say it does. Um, the ability to go out there and long distance shoot, taking the time to go through the recovery, the breakdown, everything like that. It doesn't sound like there's a rush job, the panic to get out of the woods or whatever, get it loaded up and home and cold. Like, I just think that provides an opportunity to be successful and build that confidence. That track.
100%, I mean, and the thing about shooting a rifle, if you've got your firearm that dialed in and you're hitting at a 500, 700 yards, that 1,000-yard shot isn't that much harder. You really have to start figuring out the wind component of it. But if you're able to make those distant shots, you can go at further distances. And I think that was one of the things that I never really understood until I actually got that hands-on experience.
So was that just a part of the course and just that confidence booster and just a skill to obtain? Or was it the environment that required you guys to long distance shoot? Because that's what I kind of want to know more about is, the environment where you guys were at, what you guys were engaging in as far as
A big,
the
big fat no on the and it's a confidence booster because we do of course talk about hunting ethics and nobody would take a shot that far. Um but what's amazing of course is after you shoot 1,000 yards, then when you go to shoot 150 yards, you're like, "Oh, I got this.
Okay.
It's easy." So yeah, and the instructors will absolutely tell you, by no means would you ever take this hunting shot. But anyway, just to clarify, I'll just say the one thing that I loved about the instructors too is their flexibility because, sometimes you're with people and they're like, this is the only way that you could do it. You have to do it this way, which is not really true. They're like, oh, if that doesn't work for you or if that hurts your neck or whatever it may be, here's another way to do it. Or let's try this, or, let's try some different ammo or just very flexible to give you the best possible setup you can have.
I think they even said, "We're teaching you a way." Seems like they even said those words. There might be other ways that might suit you better, but they're teaching you a way that they have done it that, seems to work well.
Diane, thoughts?
No, I was gonna say the same thing. That
Okay.
they substitutely yeah, this is a way, they wanted to make sure that that was stressed. Uh,
I'm dating myself. But going back to, my military basic training and then going through additional training, there wasn't any of that, "This is a way, this is the way." And then for me, when I started doing more, high speed training, doing competition shooting, um, there were multiple ways and able to break out of that, you prove that to yourself. So it's encouraging to hear people not being so dug in and be like, well, this is the way I do it. And you got to do it that way because some people just can't physically do that. And you find ways to adapt. And especially when you're long distance shooting, you're laying prone. I'm assuming you guys are all laying prone. Sometimes just your reach. I'm a smaller dude, so my reach doesn't always fit a firearm, right? So I gotta be able to modify that either with a collapsible stock or get a pistol grip on there, so I get a good cheek weld and all the fundamentals that come with that. So, yeah, again, that's encouraging to hear. Did any of you guys run into any of that? Yeah, I can't.
Well,
I don't know how
Fred,
tall you
I
guys are.
I don't know that any of the 4 of us did, but we definitely had women with us who brought firearms with them that ended up being completely wrong for them and what they were trying to do. And one woman was like, "It's fine. My gun didn't work. I'm just gonna sit back and watch and just enjoy just being a visitor, a viewer kind of thing." And the instructors really encouraged her to try a different firearm. She got on that firearm and started having the time of her life. She was very intimidated because she thought she had a good gun, and then it turned out that her gun wasn't working right for her. So, for them to encourage her and to really work with her to try something new, it really, I think, for her was kind of a pivotal moment.
Yeah, so that's a neat lesson learned that I think the first time shooter hunter wouldn't even think about. And if you have a situation like Erica alluded to earlier in the conversation with, some FUD of a gun salesman and they don't take care of you, size you to a gun, like that experience is going to be terrible. So I guess, for the listening audience, here's some cool inside baseball that you just may have overlooked and not known to think about that, if you're going out for these experiences, this is all baseline stuff you got to consider to have a great experience. And you guys are, have good instructors to square you away.
That's right. The instructors were awesome. To me, it was they're, you know, um, very accomplished military service, very good at what they do. They have a lot of knowledge, and that could be intimidating, but they were so patient and flexible. Like we mentioned, they kept it fun and took their time with us. And, if we were kind of frazzled, they would let us rest for a minute or give us another way of doing something. So, really want to shout out to them that they did an excellent job.
No one's gonna be successful under stress and, wartime people have a different stress level they have to operate, but not this, right? Let's be real. So the ability to step back, take breaths, relax, like that's so important. And it goes back to that confidence builder and being successful. So important.
they wanted us all to be successful for sure. I remember after zeroing in our rifles, they probably had to change my range card at least twice, because they saw that I was off target, and so but they took the time to do it, and we went through all the steps again, and, but yeah, no, they were great for sure.
Good deal. So all this is done. You've gone through, all the how-to stuff. Talk to me about the hunt. What did you guys get after in the field? What were the opportunities? Janice and Diane, I understand you guys were hunting partners.
Yes, I was so lucky to be teamed up with Janice, who I just feel like the first moment that I met her on that first night, we clicked immediately, so it was really neat to be teamed up with her for sure.
We had a lot of laughter in our Jeep, and I know that Fredo, our guy, probably thought we were.
We got a lot of shh, shh, stop talking.
He had a good balance of letting us have a good time and, be social, but then also when it was time to get down to business, and he was right on it. So it was a good experience. He was start out in the Jeep and drive around, and then you find your hunting spot and get on do some stomaching. And I think we hunted the first day. We saw some good animals. Never had an opportunity until I think the last day of hunting is when we were successful.
And
So looking back, it's kinda cool because we got to know each other a little bit more, and so that when we were able to harvest our deer that, we were able to share that experience together and we had learned more about each other, if it
Right. And hunting is about so much more than just the harvesting of the animal. I mean, the training that we did together and getting to see more country together, getting to enjoy the views and see the other animals around, all that helps you grow and helps you to build, your friendship and deepen that. And then when we did have success and we did finally connect. That's like I mentioned, we shed a few tears because we had grown together through that and we were so excited for each other.
It was
Erica, what was oh, sorry, go ahead, Diane.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say it was definitely an incredible experience. I remember the anxiety that I felt leading up to it. When Fredo was like, "All right, Diane, you're up." And I'm like looking at Janice, she's like, "You got this, you got this." And I'm like, this is after like we hiked down to our spot. I'm like, okay, first goal is not to fall. Let's just so I don't scare the deer away. And made it down to our spot. We were about 125 yards out. And we had taken a class on placement. So I knew exactly where to place the shot and right in the vitals. Pulled the trigger. I remember right after pulling the trigger, I feel like I just closed my eyes for a second. And then I looked at Fredo and I was like, for confirmation, I'm like, this just happened. And so we were waiting there for a little bit, and then, like, 30 seconds later, we packed up our gear and started walking towards, the deer. My heart was racing. We see the deer, not too far from where he was shot. Emotions completely took over. When Janice said that tears were shed, yes, that put it lightly, they were, but I was so blessed it was, a clean shot, and, they taught us that, in the class that the best thing you can do for the animal is to have that clean shot, and so, and, I was speechless. It was a lot. It wasn't I had been to the range, multiple times. It was completely different, and I still am grateful to this day that Janice, when we were there, she was like, "Let's say a prayer," and it was, like, perfect, and we did, and it was the perfect thing, and, thank God for his creation and for the animals and being able to put food on our table, from the animals that we harvest, and so, but it was quite an experience. It's a lot of work and a lot of safety. But Fredo, he helped me skin the deer, and then we were able to use the buck as in one of our classes right afterwards when everybody returned to quarter it and debone it. We did that as a group, and then Chef Josh, he
Yep,
prepared
Josh.
he prepared ceviche of the heart, which have never thought I would have heart before, but we had that, and then it was a very moving experience and something that I will definitely remember for the rest of my life for sure.
No doubt, and if you continue to do it, I will tell you that, that feeling of, "I can't believe that just happened," it doesn't for me, it doesn't stop, and I think a lot of people, if they're being honest, no matter how good or confident you are at this, every time, especially turkey hunting for me, I'm like, "I can't believe that just worked again." It feels good. Erica, talk to me about, your hunt. Where'd you get after? What was your experience like?
Yeah, I was the only one that didn't come home with something, I think.
Oh.
Which is Yeah, which is why but that's why it's called hunting, right? And the first night I was there, actually, I went out with another friend who had to leave early and one of the guides, and there was a beautiful herd of access, and she just wanted an access doe. And we went out there and she shot suppressed and got it right away. And I almost said, "Can you please hand me your rifle? I just want to get mine now while we have the opportunity." And I was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And I should have, because that was the only opportunity I really had, other than a big, beautiful buck that I could not afford, unfortunately, who made himself available to me. But anyway, it's still fun. I just love it. It's still just fun being out in nature. It's fun hearing what the other girls were. We tracked a couple with them. My hunting buddy, the rest of the time, she got something, so that was great. And I just love being along, honestly.
TJ, I know how your hunt ended up, and those that follow us socially know how it ended up, but for most of the listening audience, tell us about your very cool adventure.
Well, I was the lone female on this trip out of all the 14 ladies. I was the only one hunting for a black buck. And the only reason I was hunting for a black buck is a little birdie told me that no one at CSF had ever shot a black buck. So I like to do things, and do them right. So
There's not eating.
I had the experience. It was just my guy Dave and I. And we had the first 4 scheduled hunts. We would do morning hunts and then evening hunts. Every time we went out, we were successful in finding a black buck. The first day we spot and stalked him and we were looking, and then we were checking out his health and his quality. And the first one we saw was actually, they call him Gramps on the ranch. He's the old guy. And for me, and what I was hoping to do with the black buck, I wanted to not only I wanted to be able to feed the family with it. I wanted to, be able to mount something in my office. I wanted to have a really good black buck. And in my opinion, this guy wasn't the one for me. And so I chose not to take the shot on that first morning or that first evening. And then after that, it was just a matter of when we'd see some, they'd be too small, maybe not again what we were looking for. And then that final morning, it was the last day of our trip. It was our last scheduled hunt. um, Dave and I start chasing this black buck all over the mountain. There was another hunting pair that was on, there was like a valley in between the mountain. We were on one side, they were on the other. They could see the black buck and were radioing it to us, and we were chasing him all over the property. And when we finally got him, turns out he stopped at the feeder that was where we started, which was kind of comical. We could have just stayed there. Um, but
That is also a very important lesson to learn when you're in the field. Right. And then,
at that point, he was 400 yards away. And as Erica alluded to before, these instructors are very, very ethical when it comes to their hunting practices. And because the area you're trying to shoot on that black buck is so small, they do not let you shoot at anything greater than about 250 yards. So he got a little too far away from us from when we got close to him. And then he ran away. And then I was like, that was the most awesome thing I've ever done, chasing this black buck all over the mountain, getting out and being on our feet, then having to get ready really quickly, then getting back in the Jeep, then going to a new spot and like chasing him all over the place. I said to Dave, Dave, this cannot be the end of our journey.
Mhm.
I just have to feel like there's still a black buck in my future. I just know it. It's going to happen today. It's just going to happen. I just know it's going to happen. I said, Dave, I know what the evening schedule is, being the one that I kind of plan the trip with them. I said, can we squeeze in one more hunt? Can we just do it? And Dave's like, I don't know. I don't know if Tim's going to allow it. We get back to the ranch. First thing I do is have to go find Diane and give her a big hug because I'd heard of what she had accomplished. And then I talked to Tim, and Tim could see my excitement, and he knew that Erica was still chasing something too. And he said, let's rearrange the schedule. Let's go back out on one more evening hunt, and it'll just be like an hour, 2-hour long hunt, and we'll do it. And turns out this time I wasn't going to be alone. All right. Another one of our DC friends, Catherine, was going to be coming with me. So Catherine came with me on this hunt, and I very much felt this feeling come over me. Like when we get out to this one spot, there's going to be the perfect black buck waiting at that feeder.
You
I
manifest.
got out there. I got set up right away. He was right there waiting for me, just like I thought he was going to be. Catherine gets set up too in case I miss. So she's prepared to take the second shot if I miss. And I look at Dave. Dave says yes. We go, and I had the same kind of like, holy cow, did that just happen kind of moment. And I hear Catherine next to me. Catherine goes, you hit him. You hit him. It was perfect. You got him. And just to have that friend next to me when I did that was so amazing. And like I said, it was good that she was ready to take a second shot if need be. Because I was so overwhelmed at that moment. Like I couldn't get my scope on the animal again if I tried. He did get up and take a few steps, but turns out, much like they teach us at the ranch, it's we are taught one shot.
Yeah.
We want to kill these animals with one shot. So um, we gathered our stuff and we went down and had that moment with the animal. Thanked it for its life and for doing it, making the sacrifice to feed us and to you know be part of the circle of life. And um, it was really, truly an amazing moment,
Yeah.
and I also was shooting suppressed, so we were able to get Catherine set up. to potentially take something, but she didn't have any success that evening. But overall, our group collectively, we had 6 animals between the 4 teen women, so it's great.
PJ, when they radioed that around, I just remember all of us were like, "Yay, how magical." So it was a very cool moment.
And for the
I was
audience,
excited to see Janice also, get be successful too. I was so like that morning, I was like, "All right, Janice, your turn. Let's go, let's go." And so,
Yeah, on that last evening hunt, both Janice and I were successful on that last evening. So it was kind of foreshadowed that we do this one more hunt. So
I'm
yeah,
so
so
thankful that PJ made the new rules for us because that's when I was successful too. I mean, just watching Diane get something, I told her, I said, I don't care if I go home with nothing. I was just so blessed to be able to be there with her, to take the video for her that she can share with her family and catch all that for her. And it's like watching one of my kids be successful, do something new. It's so fun to be able to be there when somebody does something new like that. And PJ's story illustrates that it is so much more than harvesting. If she never got it, she still has such an adventure. You hope you get something, and that's the reason you go. But there's so much more you get from it. The building, like when you were hunting with Dave, you and Dave got to be good buddies, and that wouldn't have happened if you got it on the first night. So
yeah.
so much more. To illustrate that it's all about the adventure and the relationship.
I did want to real quick. Just wanted to describe for the audience, if you're not aware, in PJ's case, what a black buck is. It is a non-native species that some states, especially down there in Texas, have a small antelope type critter. I think it's native to like India, but anyway, good eating animal, and to her point, small. So the long shot there on the smaller critter is quite impressive. Please go
It
ahead with
was
your
a
thought.
it was a 250-yard shot, the maximum they'd let us take. But I was gonna say too, Janice, like I lost my train of thought when I said that. I'm sorry. We'll go forward and we're
I was gonna echo what actually all 3 of y'all said, that I think even leading up to that last day, and we said multiple times, I think, Janice, when we were riding that Jeep, that this was just the coolest experience and that even if we didn't harvest an animal, that it was incredible just to be out there on that ranch in Hill Country, Texas, and it was just a beautiful property, and a beautiful experience.
Well, and I'm so glad that we didn't on that first night, take that shot because it turned out we had so many more adventures and experiences through those other hunting opportunities. But, sometimes you just know it's going to happen and it does.
That is part of the experience in the game, though. When you are limited on time, I don't care if you're going to a situation like you guys, if you're a traveling hunter and you only got 3 days to go kill a turkey in the spring, and you put all this research time and money, right, to travel and get there, like, yeah, you wanna experience uh, the totality of your days, but also it's like, it's right there. Let's get it on and enjoy the rest of it. It's a personal decision, but that is this other, gremlin that sneaks in and just kinda hangs out with you, and, it's your experience, so you gotta make those decisions.
I was just gonna say, PJ, I was looking at my pictures earlier from the hunt, and I think the last day, we were supposed to be, like, packing and then having dinner, that evening, when what they ended up doing was moving dinner up Saner earlier, and then we went out and hunted, so kudos.
Yeah. And I said, when we were rescheduling, I was like, we're not going to have dessert. We're going to skip dessert so we can go out and buy, and then we can have dessert when we come back. It's like we are sacrificing everything so we can go hunt one more time.
And then they put us to work, right? So we got back, but we gladly did.
And Janice and I had to make sacrifices. We weren't going to get a chance to process our own animals because we were short on time. But that was something I was willing to do, you know.
Yeah, if you're gonna skip a part, right? That's probably
Well, and we had actually been able to experience that earlier. I think we did work on Diane's and maybe someone else's too. And I was going to say that a while ago. That program, you can come and have never hunted a day in your life and know nothing about it. And they have it so well prepared that you could leave there feeling like, okay, I can go do this. Or if you've hunted some before and you have experience, you still learn things like it's whether where you put your thumb on your gun or practice, keeping your head down, keeping your eye on the scope in case you do need a second shot. I mean, that is such a good program for any level of shooter or hunter.
Yep, no doubt. Erica, did you were your box there lit up and looked like you were trying to chime in there?
Oh, I wasn't. It was probably me agreeing, but I will just say I learned something new every time, and it's wonderful. So it's fun to go every single time.
Well, and Eric and I have now taken this class twice. And so I think for the two of us to want to go back and take the same class again is a testament to what a great opportunity and a great learning experience this is.
Yeah, always picking up something. And I knowing Chef Josh and past, guest on this program, um, I know how he operates and how he's trying to literally and figuratively break things down to the students. So I have no doubt he was able to calm nerves, especially when it come to, breaking down an animal and not overthinking these things and just showing how very natural and elementary it is. Now, when you get to his level of chefness, if that's even a word, and you start breaking down on the cuts, the butchering, the professional butchering, that might get you a little bit, but just the basics, quartering your basic cuts and knowing that you can go home and do this, from a squirrel to a whitetail or whatever you got where you're at, like, that's empowering as well. No, you can go A to Z on a hunt and complete it all the way through. And that, I mean, personally for me, and I you might all agree or maybe not, there's ownership in that, and not bringing your deer or what have you to a butcher, right? And you think you're getting yours back. I never fully trust it, so I have always liked to own that entire process, no matter how laborious it can be. You have that ownership, and you know that you can do that. I see a lot of head shake. Yes, affirmative.
I'll just say for me, that was something I had never processed my own. I had always taken it to a processor, and that was new for me. And it had a completely different feel and a different sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. It was an amazing experience.
Well, and I know for me on my last hunting opportunity, when I did have success, we still wanted Catherine to be able to go out and find and have an opportunity to hunt because it was at the very, very beginning of that hunting block. We needed to take the guts out of the animal on in the field so that the animal wouldn't start to warm up and cook from the inside. And so having that skills and having learned how to do that, Dave and I worked on getting it done in the field. We didn't do the whole process, but we did get the inside out of the animal so that we were able to allow ourselves more time in the field, more hunting time.
Awesome. Um, look at we're already at an hour, and in the closing minutes here, I do wanna this is fun to talk about, so we could go another hour if y'all had the time and I really wanna unpack a lot of this, but we're gonna move on here and, like I said, start to close down our session. It was mentioned a couple times about shooting, suppressed, which is an interesting, wrinkle for most of us in the work that we do, NSSF, Dallas Safari Club, CSF. Trying to give us an extra, job there. Um, the advocacy we do, it's not all of our states have the ability to utilize suppressors. I'm using this as a single example, but the bigger tie-in here is our partnerships for most of the guests and PJ through CSF coming together. Talk about the importance of being in a camp like that, breaking bread, being able to spend time, and furthering our ability to work together and collab for advancement of policy, again, both in state houses and on the Hill.
We were lucky enough, Fred, to have a mix of probably half of us work in the sportsman's industry, and the other half are folks like Janice, who we know through relationships or friends, or another woman who came on the trip, Carrie. Um, Carrie was able to bring a lot of people, first timers, people with experience who just wanted to come and try this out. So we were a little bit half and half, but certainly being able to have um, the experience with the beginners, with the ladies from the industry to the people that had nothing to do with it, it really helped gel the group to be able to bring together such a diverse group of women from all over the country, with different experiences, different backgrounds. I think that is always going to be a goal that we have on future trips is to bring decision makers and influencers and people that have the passion for hunting and fishing in the outdoors that this group of ladies did. We set the bar so high on this first trip. Oh, good God. It's going to be a challenge of mine to be able to continue to repeat at the same level.
I was able to sit with different people each night. It wasn't like, the group from DC sat together or the group that Carrie brought sat together. Each night you sat with someone else and got to know them a little better and talk about experiences you had and goals you have for hunting. So that was a neat blessing there.
I think it's, the, diversity of folks and where they come from, their backgrounds professionally and otherwise. It's part of that good storytelling as well, being able to tell people that aren't inside the policy space about your organizations, what you do, because, PJ, like you said, for future events like this, you wanna have, influencers, different folks coming in, and that's what a lot of we talk about the 80% in the middle, of our space that we're always trying to court to either approve of what we do proactively or just stay indifferent to it. And that's who they're seeing. They don't see the policy people, right? The people that are in the trenches doing this work, and it's seldom highlighted, I guess. So you get these people that are in front of the cameras all the time, or maybe always on a podcast or whatever. So I think it's nice to be able to have the storytelling kind of go all the way around and let folks know that, this is like, I call it like a parcheesi pie, like all the different pieces fit in to complete the whole circle. And policy is, like I said, not that I'm trying to like undersell us, but it often just gets overlooked. So when you're able to fill all those pieces in, um, it gives a complete picture of the conservation space. So, oh,
I think that was one of the coolest things I walked away from too. We're in for Erica and PJ and I, we're inside the Beltway. We're supporting these issues that impact the industry and being a part of that, and being part of the fact that our industry members um, play an important role in wildlife conservation and seeing that firsthand, I think is definitely something that was cool that I walked away with and very meaningful. I think in our discussions, like whenever we're meeting with legislators and congressional staff, it's something that I can share with them.
very good. Erica, thoughts there?
Yeah, I would just say it's always nice to meet people who work in the real world rather than kind of our ridiculous Washington, D.C. world. So that's always lovely. And I agree with what Diane said. It's so much easier to talk to people in D.C. if you've done it yourself. So when you've actually gone on the hunts, if you've shot suppressed, whatever the issue may be, if you've gone to Africa, those types of things, it really helps, at least for me. I want to know what I'm doing and have done it. And then I can tell people on the hill, I've done this, here's what I saw. And I think you have so much more credibility and confidence with that.
And a greater appreciation for it as well.
Well, that's the long-term goal of what we're trying to do with this women fishing and hunting program that you all were able to join us on our first trip, is to really expose, like I said, decision makers and influencers and people that have, are in the right spot to make motions and to get things done. We want these people to do just like Erica said, to not only talk about it, but also to be able to share their experiences and to have stories to tell and to have this made an impact on their lives like it has done for us.
And I'll say just the reverse is true as well because we need help in DC. We're a small minority of the population. Most Americans don't understand what we do or why we do it. So to have folks who aren't maybe aware of what's going on in Washington, DC, understand why we're there and doing what we do is really important so they can come to DC or they get more involved in politics, all of those things, because if they don't, we're all toast. So,
I think one of the biggest stories that all of you can come away and tell, and I presume it was covered, and we've covered this quite a bit on this program. I feel like I talk about it every week, is the ability to talk about how conservation works, the funding mechanism, in this country, the model that we operate off of, and educating those who aren't in policy to include other hunters, right? Like there are rec shooters anglers and hunters that don't understand how this works. So we have a problem internally, but to that 80 broader percent, articulating and telling that history of how this all came to be, that the very few, you guys read, just someone said it earlier, there's a small minority of us that on our backs provide for the good of everybody because of the conservation dollars at the state level that get matched at the federal level through PR and Dingle Johnson. We're able to have mission delivery in the states. We're able to have beautiful spaces, manage wildlife the way it needs to be managed as best they can. And people that are out there on stand up paddle boards, fishing, people are out there bird watching, seeing all these beautiful creatures and healthy habitats where they're recreating. That's because of the people here. That's because of recreational shooters primarily, and hunters and fishermen. And I think if we're telling that story, that really highlights the work that you guys are doing on the Hill, we're doing in state houses as well. Like, get over that hump and educate people on that. And I think we start changing minds, coupled with your field hands-on experience giving you that clout. Like, it's a recipe for success, but we got to get there totally.
Yeah. I'll say one of the things that DSC does is every year we sponsor a dinner in Wyoming in August, and it's the Wyoming counties invite about it's like 10 to 12 staffers from Capitol Hill come to Wyoming. They're usually from like suburban or urban areas. It's bipartisan, split half Republican, half Democrat, and they're all staffers from Capitol Hill. And hardly any of them know what Pittman Robertson is and that it pays for so much conservation in the United States that it was passed by Congress. And, what is it? 78% of Pittman Robertson is actually shooters, not hunters.
Right.
So that's the other thing that we forget about. So they are amazed to find out that it's not actually taxpayer dollars. These are, hunters and shooters that pay this tax. And it has fundamentally changed and made our wildlife model successful in the United States.
That's 100%. Give me the NSSF take as well, because I know, there's a flag to fly there, as you should.
Yeah, the excise tax, I mean, our members supported it when PR, went into effect. And it's something that, as Erica was saying, when gun owners, when they purchase firearms and ammunition, our members pay that excise tax into the system. We're happy to do so to help support wildlife conservation and as well as shooting ranges and other purposes. So it's something that we're going to continue to support. And we appreciate the benefits of the program. The amount of money that's pumped into that system is just it's incredible. And it's all to benefit not just the industry but sportsmen nationwide.
To that end, I was gonna follow up, Diane, every time, a member introduces a piece of legislation that is, anti-firearms, anti-equipment, whatever's gonna affect the ability for people to participate, they don't get this part of the equation and the direct effect it has. And quite frankly, there's a lot of members that don't know how this program works. I know in the last handful of years, there have been members of Congress that otherwise would be friendly to our cause. They don't know how the thing works. They think the taxpayer is footing the bill, and it's like, "No, no, no, no. That's not true at all. That is disinformation, and here's the history, how we asked for this. We found the funding mechanism, and we're cool with it," you
It
know?
truly is a model of conservation success there and the whole user pay system. And so you're right, 100%. These members don't realize the impact that it would have on wildlife restoration and conservation. Um,
Last thoughts on that? I didn't wanna get too wonky on it, but I felt it was important to,
Yeah, I'll give you some last thoughts because the idea behind the bill that was introduced to get rid of Pittman Robertson was that there shouldn't be a tax on the Second Amendment. That was the idea behind it. So I guess if we live in a perfect world, that would be nice, wouldn't it? But we don't live in a perfect world. We pay a lot of different fees, taxes, we pay licenses, we pay all these different things. And this is a model that's been working since 1937. when the bill was passed. It's been law for, I mean, we're getting close to 100 years, and it's been so successful. We have less and less tax dollars to use for conservation these days. Why would you change that in any way? Um, that would be my argument for all of this.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to that advocacy and educating, and if we as a community, the near 5%, just under 5% of hunters, and to a larger extent, you got so many more, recreational shooters, but those people need to know this story too, so that, when they feel like they're being penalized, like, "You're not." Like, here's the history, like you said, going back to 1937, it worked so well. Dingle Johnson came about and like, we can do this in the angling world in boats and fuel tax to support angling. And we celebrate 75 years of that this year right now. So yeah, totally. And it's gotta, that story needs to be told at all levels.
Uh,
And then never mind the, peripheral economic impact, which is a far bigger number of traveling sportsmen and women, what that does for food, lodging, gas, tolls, all of it. Buying gear, I forgot this. I gotta go to, name your brick and mortar Bass Pro Cabela's. I gotta buy a new gun, ammo. I forgot all this. I'm a terrible traveler. All that contributes. It pays for jobs, in-state tax that go to the schools. Most of them have a sales tax. So yeah, the ripple effect is huge, and I said 5 minutes ago I was gonna get away from this, but I keep finding myself wanting to talk about this more and more. So I will, as the host, move and pivot. We're gonna close up shop here. I wanna know last thoughts on, put a couple words on everyone's experience, and then PJ, tell us about what's happening going forward. So we'll start with Erica, we'll move around the thing, and we'll end with PJ.
Yeah, I'll just say thanks to PJ for putting together the trip and to CSF for all y'all do. Um, and it was just a great experience. And I think the more that all of us can get out in the woods, the better. What I try to do, I don't live by it enough, is say, on my deathbed, what am I going to wish I had done? And it'll probably be, hunting more will probably be one of those things. So.
Janice.
Well, I want to thank PJ and a shout out to Carrie also for inviting me to come along and um, just making it. I know a lot of hard work to make it is such a good experience that blessed me, and I blessed everyone that was there, helped me grow. I come home and like I said, I wasn't familiar with your organization, so I've told everybody about it. I've also told them all about the ranch and the program, especially my female friends. It was such a good experience. I just want everyone to be able to learn from it as well and experience it. So thank you.
Diane?
Yes, thank you so much, PJ. You could tell how much went into planning that trip. And I know it was a lot of hard work, but it pulled together beautifully, and we all had an amazing time. To those women out there who are either gun owners or not, or first time hunters, take that first step, get trained. It only takes one time and you're hooked. So, uh,
And it sounds like an experience, policymakers that are listening, and they do listen both on the Hill and those state houses. We have them in the audience. What a great opportunity to go into a controlled environment, and get hands on with this stuff, as all of you alluded to earlier, just getting that clout, and either dispelling myths or just getting a better understanding, so that when you folks in the audience are crafting policy, you got something to draw from and be like, you know what? Maybe we should go this way or not do this. So I would encourage our policymakers to contact PJ as well. And the future planning she's getting ready to tell us about, maybe you can be a part of it. PJ, take us home.
Yeah. So, I think the goal for this first trip was to build a foundation for future trips. Really, it was to set us up so we know how to shoot our rifles and we know proper hunting safety and all of that moving forward. But this is not meant to just be a hunting program. So, our very next trip we're going on, we're going to be going to Pensacola, Florida, and we're going fishing. So, we're taking everybody to Diane's hometown, actually. So we're gonna go do some deep sea fishing. Have a great opportunity to have a lot of bonding time. We're all gonna stay in one big beach house. So that's gonna be in April of 2026. And then in December of 2026, we're gonna head down to Mississippi where we're gonna be doing some deer hunting. and have an opportunity to do some thermal hog hunting. So this will be another rifle experience that we're going to do in 2026. And then in the future, we're going to be doing some upland hunts. We're going to go fly fishing. We're going to go all over the country and expose this group of ladies to new opportunities, hopefully get everyone outside of their comfort zone. Um, Fishing is my comfort zone. So I'm hoping to encourage some ladies who maybe aren't as comfortable to come and join me doing this. So it'll be really good. But the groups will always stay between probably 10 and 15. We want to keep the group small. But we have an exciting future ahead of us. And it all started with this foundational trip we took in April of 25.
Well, that's awesome. Hats off to all of you. Congratulations to everybody, whether you brought something home or not. I mean, just completing the course, going through the whole iteration, and then bringing those stories back to your family, to your colleagues, and just everything you got to experience makes you grow as a person, as an outdoors woman. And, again, congrats to you. Um, Final thoughts. Give you all a couple seconds to anything else you want to add. And then, like I said, we'll put a bow on it. Everybody's good. All right. Well, thank you all for your contribution. There, she's got the delay again. Go ahead.
Sorry. I just want to thank you guys again for all you do. I would like to research your organization and learn more about you because, like I said, I wasn't aware, and I appreciate your hard work in keeping this hobby of ours available.
No doubt. No doubt. We appreciate that. Um,
Well, Janice, we appreciate you, taking a chance and coming to be with a bunch of women you'd never met before. I think that shows a lot of courage on your part. And it was just such a wonderful experience to meet some of these new ladies and bring everybody together, you know. Um, Highlight of the year for sure.
Very good. Erica, where can people go to learn about Dallas Safari Club?
Oh, it's DSC or it's biggame.org.
Very good. And then Diane, NSSF, where can people go to learn more about what you do and your organization does?
NSSF.org.
Very good. And for us, as you guys, the listening audience, always know every week, congressionalsportsman.org, congressionalsportsman.org. Go there, learn all about the stuff Janice is so stoked about our organization, learn about your in-state caucuses. They exist everywhere, and we work hand in hand with Dallas Safari Club, NSSF, and many of our other in-state and national partners for you, the listening audience, and on your behalf. Make sure we perpetuate and have our hunting heritage traditions to go forward into the future. Ladies, thank you so much for your contributions. We appreciate it. And one last plug: there is a video. I think a nice video that was put together of this entire week. PJ, where can people go to find that?
It's on YouTube. Carrie, who we've mentioned several times during the process, has put the video on YouTube. It's on her Azyre channel. That's AZYRE. So if you go to her YouTube channel, the video's right there.
Very good. So those of you that are thinking about getting involved in 2026, get a flavor of what the ladies went through this year, make your decisions, contact PJ. She'll get you squared away. Again, thank you so much for your stories, your contributions, what you guys do as partners and as leaders in your neighborhoods and your communities. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
All right, my thanks to Diane, Janice, Erica, and PJ for putting this all together. Um, Great show, great conversation, lots covered there, and it's nice to bring a little fun banter to the program here. I know we're always I'm not gonna say always very serious, but we cover very serious topics here and topics of importance and policy. So uh have a little bit of that sprinkled in, but just more so just having a almost a fireside chat here. And getting the lowdown from the experience. It's a great job by PJ putting that together and all the women that went down there and had that unique experience, and no doubt, without being hyperbolic here, lives changed, experiences enhanced based on the different backgrounds. And, we'll look forward to, a future event, as PJ alluded to, and that has all sorts of great ideas and creating opportunities. It's what we work so hard for, and make sure that, folks are able to get a field and even for these unique experiences to get together. So, a job well done. And, certainly congratulations to those that were successful. Those, I mean, obviously all of them that went through the course, completed it, and then and had really good experiences. So there it is. There's our ladies hunt episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We're in it. We're in the throes of hunting season everywhere now. I hope you're enjoying it, filling tags, being safe, getting home safe to your family. And we keep bearing down, continuing through. We're here in the final days of October, which as a t-shirt probably says, sweet November is upon us. And the rut will be kicking off almost everywhere, at least in the northern part of the country. And the fun days ahead, but still plenty to do. And trapping season is kicking off in so many places. And we definitely bring you some field reports there too. So enjoy the season, enjoy the outdoors here, and we will see you next week for our roundup. Take your time with this episode, check it out in increments, and then go back and check out some of the other features if you got some time. No feature next week, as always, for regular programming every other Thursday, every Wednesday for the roundup, bringing you news and conservation, sporting news from around the nation. We will, like I said, we'll see you next week. Be safe out there. As always, CSF is your inside connection to outdoor legislation. Have a great week. See ya. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Sportsman's Voice podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, your support is crucial, and you can help us out right now by leaving a review, filling in those 5 stars where available, sharing this episode with friends and family, and engaging with us socially. CSF can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Together, we can protect the outdoor sports we love and continue to keep you informed wherever you are. That's it for this week. Until next time, we'll see you later.